If you are thinking of a bank that takes care of customers' needs by providing quality services with flexibility, reliability, and innovation, think Trust Bank Limited. With Trust Bank Limited mobile banking, you enjoy services such as balance inquiry, mini statement, funds transfer between accounts, exchange rates, mobile airtime top-up, stop ATM card, checkbook request, and PIN change. Our real-time gross settlement allows the customer to instruct the bank to transfer funds from their account to another account at another bank. Our expertise and experience in international banking is both legendary and the envy of the market. Retail banking, one bank, different amazing packages. Whether you are interested in savings account, current account, time or fixed deposit account, lending or overdraft, our team of dedicated staff is always ready and willing to help you out with your transactions as you wish. Corporate banking. Trust Bank Limited offer the most convenient services for deposit accounts, credit facilities, trade finance, bond and guarantee, and foreign currency account. With e-banking, you can make electronic bill payments and online banking and enjoy 24-hour access to your cash with our ATM. With the largest network of branches and agents, we give you the convenience to receive funds as you please. Trust Bank Limited, proudly Gambian.
fay lempo warugal la si képp koo xam ne doomi réew mi nga ak ñu fi dëkk bu fekkee ne ci at mi sa koom-koom weesu na $24,000 dalasi mbete weer bu nekk di nga am lu tollu si $2,000 dalasi lempo si la nguur gi di sukkandeku ngir liggéey yokkute réew mi GRA mooy banxaas bu nguuri Gambia sas ngir mu fayeku lépp luy lempo ci biir réew mi ba tax na GRA di yëgal faykati lempo yi ne warugal la pour ñu fay lu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment maanaam bépp contract bu waay joxe te si biir réew mi lañu toog kon xaalis si contract bi ngeen nangotoo war nga cee wàññi ci xayma téeméer bu nekk fukka bu fekkee ne contracto bi dëkkut ci biir réew mi bu boobaa di nga war a wàññi téeméer bu nekk fukka ak juróom lii mooy lempo bu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment lii mooy lempo bi nga xam ne yow mi joxe contract warugal la nga wëlbatiku dem fay ko ci maakaani GRA tax office bu la gën a jege mbete ci banque yi GRA jagleel pour fay lempo war ngaa jébal lempo bi si diiri fukki fan ak juróom gannaaw bi nga wàññee ci xaalis si contract bi amul benn contracto bu ñu teggil fay lempo bi xanaa mu fekk ne nguuri Gambia ñoo ko jégale boole si projet yi nga xam ne mbootaay ndimbali ñoo koy dépense GRA di fayeku lempo ngir yokk.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Bibliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Bibliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high-quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yaibara.
This is a Kerr Fatou. Fatou.
Hello and welcome to this special interview on Kerr Fatou. Of course, it's football time. Everyone is talking football, so I'm also be talking football for the next couple of days. But of course, you know, the Gambia Football Federation goes to election on August 27. That is barely 10 days to go. And we will be talking to the aspirants. You know, the team Restore Confidence, led by Sadibou Kamaso. Oli will kill me for just saying even Kawa in the name before introducing Sadibou, but yes, Sadibou is the leader of Team Restore Confidence in the GFF, and they have an executive who wants to change the affairs of football in this country. And of course, today I have Sadibou himself. Sadibou, welcome to Kerr Fatou.
It's a pleasure to be here, Fatou.
Actually, you have been on Kerr Fatou on the brunch and before that, right?
Yeah, the NCC and even for the other team, for Team Kaba, I've been here.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I do remember that, yes. Oh, so we are going to talk about Gambian football. I want to say that a lot of people might think I don't know football. I am a big Manchester United fan. We are on break right now because I'm running away from the hard breaks and all the stuff. But I do follow football and I do understand that I'm a very big supporter of Gambian football, and I'm a #1 supporter of what's the name? Steve Tarawale, and I do know that Gambian football need a lot of changes. I do know that Gambian football need a lot of exposure, and I've said this to a lot of people. The Sadibou camp, what they have brought into Gambian football is the interest. It was just people getting into football when there's time for games, when Gambia goes to play, but the zeal and interest you have brought into the football lovers. How did your team come up with this idea of just injecting that interest into football?
Thank you very much, Fatou. It's an honor to be here, as I said. I mean, being interviewed by no other than Fatou. But when Team Restore Confidence came into this whole game, the idea was to stimulate interest and passion. That's the mission. We've realized that for far too long, football has just been confined within a very small group. And because of that, we're unable to attract sponsors. We're unable to bring people to go and watch league matches. We're unable to make the league marketable. So in order for you to be able to do that, you should be able to have a lot of people participating. And that was why our mission as Team Restore Confidence is to stimulate interest and passion, to increase stakeholder participation. And in so doing, we can bring football and its benefits to the doorstep of every Gambian. Because when people grow interest, they start feeling your pain. They start understanding how football is governed. Because a lot of people sit there and think, oh, there's so much money in football is being embezzled. Oh, these people are going to struggle. But if they're with you, then they understand. So to stimulate interest and passion is important. That is why we have a good, strong communication team that is touching all facets of football communication to ensure people grow interest. And thankfully, we've been able to do some of that. So the rest of it is to bring football and its benefits to the doorstep of every Gambian, which we can do when we are voted 27th of August, inshallah.
And then talking about being voted, first I want to congratulate you, Hawks, league champions. Before coming into this interview, I saw how the footballers came to your mom's house to dedicate the cup to you, and you were emotional. You cried. Why? What happened? Why did you feel that emotional?
Well, it was an emotional moment because obviously the things that people have seen in the media, which I keep saying I do not want to comment on Hawks more because Hawks is a private institution. I served there as General Secretary up until when Lamin Cham called me to say he's come across a letter where my signature was withdrawn.
Yeah.
So up until now, I haven't received any letter from Hawks, but, you know, I was at the final to watch them because I'm a Red, you can't change that. And I was at my mom's and I was told the players were coming there and most of them were hugging me, dedicating this to me, having been aware of, you know, the role I've played in Hawks, you know, so that was an emotional moment for me, to be honest, because for, you know, talking about it now, I'm even, you know, so, but as I said, Hawks is a private institution and whatever happens there, I'd rather just not, but, you know, something I appreciate.
I like that because when I watch, I saw your interview on the Brunch, you said you don't want to talk about the Hawks incident, but it brings to the question, if Hawks is your club, and you worked with this club all these years, we have seen how it manifested. Even when that signature was withdrawn, we saw the comments from players, stakeholders who are within the team, how they reacted. What they showed was they loved you and they wanted to continue working with you. But what we saw were at the higher level was different. But these people are the ones who vote. Now, what does it translate to? If the team that you worked with all these years put everything into that team, and they are withdrawing their support for you. They even went ahead and supported your opponent. Does that say the rest of the stakeholders should not trust you? What does that mean? What does it send to your team?
To be honest, I mean, as I said, I still haven't received any letter from Hawks.
Okay.
I believe if I was to receive any communications to that effect, I should have been copied. I haven't received any.
Okay.
And other things have happened after that. That is why I still don't want to comment on it, because then it puts the whole Hawk situation, you know, in the spotlight. But I wasn't aware of that letter being sent until, you know, renowned journalist Lamin Cham called me to find out about that. And they know the reasons why they did that. And utmost respect to Hawks, and my love for Hawks wouldn't die, because I'm a Red. You can't change that. The signature has been withdrawn, but I'm football. My loyalty to this is to the greater good. It's not to just, you know, an individual. So my loyalty to this is for the Gambian football and to move football forward. And people have seen what I'm doing. And thank God the players were able to come to me the other day, you know, to look for me. In fact, I kind of sensed they were going to do that. So after the game, I went to my mom's. I didn't go home. I didn't go home because I was like, these people are going to come, you know, it's going to be some emotional moment. So I was just seated at my mom, and my mom was like, you know?
Yeah.
It's like Tantangul. So I was wondering, and all of a sudden, boom, the gate was open. There they were, everybody, the trophies here. So my mom too was so emotional because she's heard the story and she felt so bad. But the little money she saved, in fact, that day, she took everything out. She just kept coming in and out, giving me after they left, she was like, so it was, but with all due respect to Hawks, they know the reasons why they did that, and I wouldn't want to say much. But as I said, after that letter was talked about, other things happened, which I do not just want to talk about.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough, especially for an institution that you help to build. You don't want to. I do respect that. Now let's talk about the Gambia Football Federation. You said to restore confidence. Does it mean there's no confidence in the Gambian football right now?
There's a substantial erosion of confidence.
Yeah.
Substantial erosion of confidence. And this is because a lot of things have happened that people feel they don't understand how it happens. I personally, I don't just accuse people of corruption and embezzlement, because I always say issues of corruption should always have a careful and balanced approach. If you allege, you have to prove. But nobody builds a house to demolish it. I am one of the architects of Team Kaba.
Yeah.
I was the campaign manager in 2018, a time when none of them would, you know, want to go to any radio, TV. Hey, no, I don't want to go there. I've had people telling me I've never been to the police. It's because of football I've been to the police. I don't want to associate myself with this.
Yeah.
So if today some of those people are acting prominent, I mean, when times we had made promises to individuals and those promises are not kept. President Bajo is an elder of mine, and we've had, you know, very, you know, good things that transpired between us, and I still have immense respect for him. But this is the beauty of democracy.
Yeah.
When positions are available, people can vie for it. And as I said, my loyalty is to the greater good, not to an individual. But promises were made, and I realized at some point, you know, we were derailing from that. And it is not because you know, he wanted to derail because he was being moved to the other direction. And if I was the one that was more prominent, that was standing in front of everyone and talking to them, I cannot sit and watch that. You know, I owe the people that duty of care to come back and say, we're going to rectify those wrongs. Sometimes even big companies sell a product, but they recall the product.
Yeah. Yes.
So I sold the product, and now
you're recalling that product. Wow, that's a good. I from a marketing perspective, I understand that.
You know,
you sell a product and you feel like, oh no, this is what I
there are
said.
defects.
I'm just gonna recall it. But now let's be specific. What specific promises were made that you think were not kept?
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
As one that I don't even need to talk about because everybody's seen that. The governance aspect of it as well, there are lots of things, maybe some moral and ethically you can't come out with them because they say, oh, he goes out and say, there are things that I cannot say on air because I've been there and I know them.
Yeah.
And my moral and ethical values would not allow me. But there are certain things that had happened there and morally and ethically that are totally wrong. And they know that. You know, if anybody challenges me, we can sit somewhere and then I can prove them. But on air, because they will say, oh, Sadibou leaked so and so information. If I was leaking information, we wouldn't have been there. We probably would have been called for questioning or some other things. But as I said, this is...
That is serious. Are you insinuating there were serious corrupt practices that happened in the GFF?
No, there are things that they will tell you that this has happened. You don't have the facts and you want to get the facts and it's difficult to get.
Okay.
And these are a series of things that somebody would tell you, I said it and I have the facts. And you know, that's best evidence when somebody stands there, unless the witness is not credit worthy.
Yeah.
But if a witness is credible, you take their information. And these are some information that I am aware of. So, as I said, it's not about the allegations of corruption per se.
Yeah.
It is the promises that we've made. We've promised to work on grassroots football. We haven't done much about grassroots football. We keep relying on schools football for the tournament. And schools football is an association. Excuse me. They struggle to get their funds. Before the Principal's Cup stopped, that GT Bank was sponsoring, you had, you know, a brilliant tournament. But after that, there hasn't been any grassroots tournament since 2018 to date. When we were kids, we used to have schools, you know, schools football. The regions are responsible for grassroots tournament. There's not been any grassroots tournament. The third divisions are neglected. They are under the RFAs. It was just this season that they were promised $1 million, is $200,000 for the league and $800,000 for operational costs. But up until now, they were getting $300,000. These RFAs are ill-equipped. They don't have offices, they don't have equipment, and they're responsible for the grassroots. You cannot have a bad nursery and a bad primary and expect to have a good high school and a good university. At that level, the second division is being played, the first division. Go to the RFAs, the third division. You go to a match and the fourth official stands at the touchline calling somebody's name to make a change. Even a simple change in sport. These are things I have seen.
Yeah.
You know, they struggle to come and get their funds. That is one aspect. You look at women's football. We promised we would have advanced women's football now. How far have we gone? There are few women representatives in the executive. We came up with the idea to have a second vice president who's a woman. And we thought it is important to bring in more women to come and sit. We launched our manifesto in March.
Yeah.
April, May, June, July. That was when the other team came with their manifesto. And then you're talking about proposing a fourth vice president. If you really meant it, you would have done the amendments in December because we've had series of AGMs. He who loves women's football must do more than just talk about it. So for me, if you really wanted to change that, you don't wait until Team Restore Confidence comes with their manifesto where they talk about having a fourth and fifth vice president. Because the reason why we said that, the way the executive is structured, you have the president, you have the 3 vice presidents. You have 2 other male and 2 other female, one of whom must be a retired referee, and the 7 regional football association presidents. That's the composition of the executive.
Yeah.
We believe the 3rd vice president of GFF is usually responsible for grassroots and women's football.
Yeah.
And it is not written anywhere in the constitution that he should be responsible for this. It is just some understanding that we have among ourselves. And I've been saying this, I believe there's so much ambiguity. In the same executive, you have the president of the school's football. You also have the president of Women's Association. They are sitting there and their responsibilities are combined together and given to a 3rd vice president. So even communication was a problem. There were times the women football coordinator would not know whether to write to the vice president, 3rd vice president, or to write to the Women's Football Association president. And there was some tug of war, push and pull, and that kind of created even some issues with 3rd vice president and even the president.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of things, and I've seen this, and I thought this should have been, we could have changed this. So we came up with the idea to say, instead of having all those 2 people there, not having those portfolios, let us create this to look like a working cabinet. The president of schools football will now be responsible for grassroots and grassroots only.
Yeah.
The president of women will be responsible for women's football. And the third vice president, who was there responsible for grassroots and women, can be given another responsibility, oversee the region's monitoring and logistics. That was our idea. And some people jumped at it and, taking it. But, I mean, for us, we are happy sharing our ideas.
No,
but that's also,
okay.
that's also one part. You were saying some of the things that, there are things that we agree upon in the executive, and they're supposed to come in, to fruition. They're supposed to be implemented right away. That's a lot of failure on our part in the executive.
Yeah.
But as we always say, it is the head who drives the policy.
Yes.
You sit there, and democracy is the minds of the majority. I'm not the driver of the policy.
Well, would you share some blame also, because you were part of that team? It was you who sold the agenda to the Gambia. In fact, I was listening to one of your campaign videos, audios. I don't know, it was one with one Lamin, and you said, you see, people don't understand football. If you understand football, you would know things come gradually. What this Kabbalah executive has done is to set the foundation. There was no foundation at GFF. Was that just a campaign, or was it because you talked about even third division league that never happened? You talked about other issues. So was that a campaign message? Was that really something that you believed in? Because you said there was no infrastructure. It was this current executive that did that.
The thing is, it wasn't a campaign speech, because if you look at grassroots tournament, at the time, the grassroots football, the Principal's Cup was there. We found the Principal's Cup there because we came in when a new constitution came in.
Yeah.
It used to be the GFA, and then came GFF.
Federation, yeah.
Yes, with the GFF, the structures changed. You have the first division, the second division, and the third division are under the RFAs. And we ensured that we went to AGM. And under these AGMs, we ensured these RFAs, or even the executive meetings, these RFAs would come and report to us whatever that they were doing. So at the time, the structures were put in place. You could put a structure in place. Whether you're moving the structure in the direction is also another question.
Yeah.
The structures were put in place. That was why in 2014, when the team came into office, I was a member of the finance committee. But within a year and a half, I had to resign, because there were things that I saw that I wasn't comfortable with. And I brought it to the attention of the president. He's an elder of mine, and I have immense respect for him. Those things didn't change. I had to quit. Even Lamin Chairman tried to interview me, and I said, no, I don't want to bring this whole thing into dispute, because for far too long we've been going to normalization, fighting, banning, because the Quebec camp just got banned and we came into office. So coming out now is going to take us back to normalization. Let us allow this ship to sail. You would have some mistakes here and there. So some mistakes can be allowed. But if we get to a point where the mistakes cannot be allowed, then we can come in. So I was not part of the executive. I was just part of the finance committee, and I resigned. So 2018, when they came in and said, this is what we want to do. These are some of the things we've done. This was some of the promises we made, and this is what we've achieved. And you do like you measure what has been done. Even though maybe some of them were not up to 100%, but 50 and above is a pass.
It's a pass, yes.
So definitely you'd be like, okay, this is okay. And then you have two candidates. And even though I was not at the executive at that level, so some of the things are things they're reporting to me. I'm not serving in the executive. And then you had two candidates, was President Bajo and Malik Sila. And for me, he was the better candidate at the time, to be honest. I looked at both, and my club also wanted to support this. So they asked me to go in. And they approached me and said they wanted me to be their campaign manager. And obviously, if I accept to be part of something, that is me. When I accept to be, I go in deep. If I'm not in, I'm not in. I'm not a two-faced person. And President Bajo will tell you, I'm one person who sits in a meeting and tells him, President, this travel you're going, I think you should save us money, because we're complaining we don't have money. Or it's business. I'm that type of, I don't talk behind somebody's back. And they'll tell you, I'll bring issues like, oh, President, I'm told the CRR election was marred by allegations of fraud. That's what I do. When I was there, I bring these issues up. Oh, guys, I've heard you guys are paying people this amount of money, which is not correct, which is against FIFA ethics. That's what I do. And there are a lot of people who are there who see these things and like, guys, I don't do that. So maybe because of that, some saw me as a rebel or this, but for me, that is what I believe. When you serve in an office, you give it your best shot. So if I go out and sell the ideas, sell the products, I was giving my all to ensure these things work. But then you come to a point where we're derailing from that. And the fact that we're saying substantial erosion of confidence, because you post things, people attack you. You even go around and you tell people I'm from GFF, they see you some kind of way. I was in the NCC. We went around, we even came here. And when we go around, sometimes they're announcing us. I was in the logistics committee, but I was dragged into the finance and fundraising to help out. And they go around, they're like, oh, this is DPS Mbai from Minister of, Youth and Sports. This is Mr. Cisse from Foreign Affairs. This is Sadibou from GFF.
Yeah.
You know. And at some point I told Chairman, I said, Chairman, please, when you announce us, don't say from GFF, just say NCC. Because that's how. One of the bank MDs or deputy MDs even asked us, you're talking about GFF, where are you going to put these monies if we sponsor? Honestly, people were there.
But wait, okay, I do know those mindset was there, but would you say there was corrupt practices at GFF that can be proven?
Well, it depends what you define corruption as, because people have different definitions. For me, like I said, I don't expect we pay contractors, they don't deliver, and we say we cannot take them to court. So I don't know what people define that as, because my definition could be different from someone's definition.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people are given assignments to perform and they have not performed it, and we are not taking the necessary actions to ensure they perform that. That is where we get all these missing monies. Okay. For instance, you have a swimming pool, a contractor is paid $1.9 million. He doesn't do the job. They said, oh, his contract has been terminated, and nobody's gone after him. And I've said this in a meeting. And they're like, oh no, because GFF also delayed to pay them, so we can't take action. No. Having read law, if somebody delays to pay, they can invoke their rights to claim their compensation. Yeah. You don't have to say, oh no, we've delayed. So whether that is what people call, and that is not just one contract. So they things like that you cannot come and justify. That is the reason why FIFA is not even releasing the funds, because these funds FIFA are giving to us, they've even created a training program called the Forward, where people should go and train. The first Vice President, Mr. Bakary Kejame, has gone to South Africa on 3 occasions. I think the second and the fourth and fifth, they couldn't go because of the COVID. I personally drove them all the way to Dakar to go and apply their visas. I wasn't part of the team, but I drove them. It was the first Vice President, the General Secretary, and the Finance Director. They were there to learn and understand how FIFA Forward is, how you can access these funds, how you can spend them judiciously, because they pay you in milestones. So if they train people that go there and score A grades, and we struggle to get these funds, it is not my area. And as I said, issues of corruption, you have to be able to prove. He who alleges must prove. Things that I know are things that you spend monies on, or on tickets maybe. What you see, the invoice is far different from what like there was a time we had night matches, which I said we should charge, and the second and third Vice President were against the idea of charging. And I said, no, I'm a businessman. What I've seen, people have shown interest in this. When they show interest, that's the time you put in something. They thought it wasn't a good idea. They started charging based on my recommendation. People kept coming in. Yeah. We made $979,000. The federation was going to spend, irrespective of the fact that people come or not.
Or not, they were going to spend money.
But out of that 979, they took 972 from that money and still spent it back on other things. And I made an analysis. I sent them an email. I said, but I cannot understand this. And even the cost of the tickets is not even here. You said you printed tickets. I own a printing press. I don't understand how you can spend this much money on printing tickets. What tickets did you print? Because I'm a printer. You said field markings. I haven't seen the fields being marked. And one of the boys who was serving in the competitions department called me to try to explain. I said, don't explain anything, because this money was taken and I haven't seen the fields marked. But as I said, I'm not the one who implements these things. I have a limitation as to what I do. I made my positions known. I sent an email. I said, for me, this is inexcusable, and that is it. So these are some of the things. Maybe it depends what somebody, for me personally, it is a failure to deliver.
Failure to deliver.
Yes. The issue of financial aspects is when maybe I was taken to a commission to find out if money was actually stolen or lost, and I was exonerated. Maybe they should investigate those things. Maybe a commission should be established to find out those things as well, so people can know the truth. Yeah. Because I know of a consultant who's received over 90% of his monies, and contractors are having 20%. So it depends what you want to call.
What you call corruption.
Yeah, but out of respect for President Bajo and the executive, as I said, I wouldn't stand and accuse somebody of something I don't know.
That you don't have like physical
proof. But these ones that I'm telling you, contractors being paid and the monies are not there, the contractors haven't delivered. Obviously, the monies have gone somewhere. Yeah. Those things are things maybe we should investigate and find out, or even national team travels, ticket purchases and things like that. There are lots of gray areas in those areas that need to be proved.
No. Let's talk about national team. You were part of the logistics team, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you got us our footballers stranded.
But how would it be me?
That kills sweet spirit. Be boys, you are new. I mean, I think one of the things that people I remember. At that point, I saw the press statement at Nebuso's Facebook page. She was trying to exonerate the GFF, saying it is the NCC, and Sadibou is the member, that you are the member. I'm like, how can you differentiate Sadibou and GFF? Sadibou is from GFF. If Sadibou is part of the NSS, then it's the entire GFF. I remember at that point how people were defending the GFF out of this mess, making it look like it was you and the members of the NSS, but there was an issue, and some people also came out to say it was because those people that were making those arrangements, they were trying to make some money for themselves. So when those things, but what really happened in that situation?
First of all, I mean, the GFF guys, the president has sat in front of cameras and said Sadibou. No, he not defend.
What said what?
In hell he said Sadibou move again a face. He was actually saying I am the one responsible. And I think, for someone that I've given so much respect to.
I didn't see that though.
Yeah, on QTV.
Oh, okay.
He said that. But, I mean, what they have forgotten, I was the most useful person there. I wouldn't be embarrassed to say that. I would not even, apologize for saying that. I came in as a member of the National Coordinating Committee from the GFF. I was in the Logistics Committee as Vice Chairman. The Deputy Permanent Secretary of Youth and Sports, Musambai, a great man, an honorable man, was the chairman.
Yeah.
I was Vice Chairman. Sute Jawo from Ministry of Youth and Sports, Director of Planning, was there as a member. Lamin Jassi, General Secretary of the GFF, is there as a member.
Yeah.
Ibu Seka from National Sports Council is there as a member. Ahmad Sise from Foreign Affairs is there as a member. Masane Fofana from Joint Operations Command is there as a member. Now, everyone is accusing me that I got the boys stranded there. And here I am seated. I've not been taken to the police. I've not been taken to any commission, which means I am not responsible. If I was, I would have been called to order to say this is what happened. And secondly, what happened at the NCC? I was logistics committee member, but I was helping in finance and fundraising. I was helping in media. I came here.
Yes.
I think what I expect is for people to at least show a bit of gratitude. Say thank you, this is what you've done. I was driving my personal vehicle, roaming around the streets. Ask the likes of Musa Sise. I will drive them in my car, put my AC on in a V6. Go to Ja Oil in Farato, everywhere in Banjul, looking for funds. My own fuel. I didn't get a thank you for that.
Because you get a community allowance, right? You also get...
No, after, it was when we were, that was not, the allowances came before we went to AFCON. No, let me explain.
We all know GFF.
Let me explain, Fatou. Let me explain.
So when we were booking, you get money.
When we were, we get allowance.
So you were paying.
No, GFF gets allowance. We sit like 4 times a year.
Okay.
And we get $3,000.
Okay.
That is aside. The NCC is different. Everybody in the NCC, but why are the other NCC members not doing it? I'm saying I was using my personal vehicle to do that. And I was just logistics committee, but I was, aside of what we were doing, I was involved in fundraising. I was involved in media. I was going with Musa everywhere.
Okay.
When we were doing this, the NCC, the way the NCC is structured, the Minister of Youth and Sports, Honorable Bakari Y. Baji, is the chairman of the NCC. And President Bajo is the vice chairman. You have the executive director of the National Sports Council, and Deputy Permanent Secretary of Finance is also there. They're the signatories. I don't have any rights to sign any documents to approve anything on behalf of the NCC. There's a procedure. Okay. So if President sits there and explains that, maybe he is also part of the flaws because Sadibou as an individual does not have the right. I'm a member of a subcommittee. And then before we left for AFCON, GFF, under the leadership of Kaba Bajo, him and General Secretary Lamin Jassi told us that CAF was going to take care of, because they're the ones who communicate with CAF. They are going to take care of the players' travel. So the logistics committee was tasked to go and look for quotations for flight to take the funds, not the players.
Not the players.
We went around looking for quotations. We emailed different companies. We emailed, and every email that I send, I don't do individually. We sit as logistics committee, we discuss, we resolve on certain things, the resolutions of that meeting. That is what I send as an email, and every member, DPS Mbai, Lamin Jassi, Sute Jawo, Ibu Seka, if the others actually, let them print out those emails and show where Sadibou has done anything to show that I got funds. If I have received any kickbacks from them, let them bring it. How?
we sought for quotes, and all the quotes we got, we will sit as a logistics committee. We look at the one we feel is the most responsive. We take it to the NCC. The NCC looks at it and would agree or otherwise. If they do not agree, they will change it. The first time we looked for the quotations for the flights, we were looking for 300 people. When we got the quotes, the NCC said the numbers were not good. And thanks to Kaba, because he was the one that said, oh no, the way these funds are trickling in, it's best we cut the numbers. So we reduced the numbers instead of 300 to 150. We emailed all these, these flight companies again. Yeah. I was lucky to have been appointed to go as an advance party in Cameroon. We identified the hotels, and they will not tell you any of the hotels has any issues. Yeah. All the hotels were okay. I heard him saying even transportation, those things were not agreed upon when we went. All we were supposed to do was to go and check how transportation is done in Cameroon and get the hotels. And when we came, it was him, President Bajo, who chaired that particular meeting to say, let us pay these people, because the hotels were after us to say, if you do not pay, you wouldn't have any hotels. We did the best we could to ensure those hotels were secured for us. And anybody who went to CAF under the NCC would tell you the hotels were good. And what we also did was we agreed that all the food was going to be catered by one company, not all the different hotels having different food, because we didn't want these people to be eating meat today, the others eating fish, and they're like, oh, VIP people are having this. So we ensured everybody was eating the same meal, except at some point when the fans club said they wanted their own monies, they wouldn't want to eat. It's okay. Which is fine. So at a later point, the federation, Lamin Jassy and Kaba, because they communicate with CAF, they told us CAF is not paying the travel for the players now. They will pay after. So let us go on and look for a flight for the players. This flight, they told us, should be one way. So when we were booking the players' flight, when we were looking for a chartered flight for them, it was one way, Fatou. It wasn't a return flight. And the reason why this happened was at the NCC, it was agreed that the players are going one way. If they get knocked out in the first round, maybe some of them, as they normally do, would want to just fly back to their respective clubs. Yeah. But if they go to the semis or quarters or wherever, maybe we can charter another flight for them. That was the agreement. Yeah. So there was no return flight for the players at the time. I hope this is clear now. No, the only return flight was for the fans. Okay. To take them from here on the 10th and bring them back on the 22nd, with the agreement that if we go beyond. Now, when we got to Cameroon, there were some delays there that I saw people blaming me, which I am not aware of, because they told us we should try to be there before 2 o'clock. When we got there, the people who were supposed to be there had tested positive for COVID because they went to Qatar. The second vice president was the head of delegation, the team manager, Musa, and them. They were all in Qatar. They couldn't come. So I was there for logistics, but I stepped in for them, even though nobody gave me the response. I stepped in for them to help them. Yeah. CAF didn't provide the necessary vehicle to take all our goods to Limbe. And what the Cameroonians were saying, if you do not get to Cameroon before 2 o'clock, they will not allow you to travel to Limbe, because that is the conflict zone. Yeah. That had nothing to do with me. That was CAF. So we got there at the time, there wasn't enough vehicle to transport our goods. So we were seated. I even had to tell some of the players, Omar Koli and them, to say, Yendolen, why wouldn't you guys tweet this? Aubameyang came there and they tweeted this and it went viral. Tweet this and say, this is what CAF is doing. I contacted somebody that I knew that contacted somebody from CAF who called me. Andreas came and said, we're sorry about this. We'll arrange for you a hotel that you can go and stay for the night. It happened to Mali. So both Gambia and Mali stayed in that hotel that night. Tunisia came, they had the same issue, but they insisted they were going to go, even if it is after 2. So they went. So the people in Limbe were even calling me to say, you guys are not here, but the Tunisians are here. So we spent the night, and the next day we went there. Again, I was logistics committee, but I was coming to help them with other issues. Our agreement with the flight that took the fans was, we will leave here on the 10th and come back on the 22nd. If we get knocked out, because the last game was 28th. But if we go beyond the 22nd, we will give you 48-hour notice to change the flight. We agreed at logistics committee level that some of us will leave and help the team there, and some will stay. Yeah. I left together with DPS by who's the chairman, Ibu Seka and Masane. We left Lamin Jassy here, Sute Jawo, and Ahmad Sise. The agreement was, while we deal with issues there, they deal with issues here. There was nothing I was communicating with these travel companies that they were not aware of, because every email I sent was copied to everybody. So we left. The flight company that came here, because I heard the president saying we paid the flight company in full, which should have been done. They paid Bantaba earlier on. Before they paid Bantaba in somebody else's account, and it was in the person's account. Nobody said that, and they paid him full. So I say that because that is the norm for these flight companies. Because what they say, you pay the monies in full so they can get, because they are all brokers. They don't have aircraft. Yeah. They are brokers. They go and arrange for
flights. Yeah.
We wrote to GetJet and all these companies, and they wouldn't reply because they deal with brokers who, for some reason, maybe have insurance or whatever. So we went and we left them here. I was in Cameroon. I was getting complaints from the people here. You were reading every email I was sending. And you're complaining, oh, Sadibou, these people are asking for this. These people are saying this. I said, but you guys are there. And you saw everything I was emailing, and we're a committee. Why does it have to be me all the time?
Is it because you were the lead person during the negotiations?
No, there was no such thing as lead person. We wrote to these people, and they will send us their quotations. And when they send quotations, it's copied to everybody. Okay. So when we look at it, if we feel it is, it is cheap, I think the only company we sat with was Bantaba Group. Yeah. And every member of the logistics committee was there. We sat with him, we negotiated. So there was no such thing as being the lead negotiator. Everything was there. Now, they were here, they were saying the flight company that came did not provide food. I said, but you guys are there, you know what to do. When the flight that was supposed to pick the boys came in, I went in there and I asked the guys at the airport to give me a high-vis vest so I can go into the flight to inspect and know what is happening. I did that with Ida Seka from Sports Council and Ahmad Sise from Foreign Affairs. And I asked what meal they were providing and, negotiate all of that. I'm not an aircraft person, I don't even know, but I believe it's something that you ought to know as logistics. That is what you do. Yeah. We went, we had no issues. They were having issues here, they were emailing me, oh, Sadibou, these people are saying this, these people are saying that. But you read every email that was between these people and I. Fine. They came there, they said no food was provided to them on the flight. Immediately they told me that at the airport there, I contacted those people. They said, we can take shawarma for everybody, the flight company is coming, they apologized. There was a miscommunication between them and the, the air catering. Okay. Yes. So when that happened, they apologized and said they can make up for it. When we are going back, we can bring in as many people in the flight as possible. And that was when we took advantage of it and said, okay, if we are going, the fact that these people have agreed, because when you charter a flight, it doesn't mean you can put as many people as possible.
Yeah, there's a cap.
Yes, but they were ready to do that. So we told them, fine, that means you can do, they said yes, to compensate you for the fact that we didn't provide any food. And that is what happened. So when we went past the first round, I emailed them immediately and I said, as per the contract, we've gone past the first round, we are staying beyond. After the next game, if we are going to be knocked out or if we go beyond, I'll let you know. That's what happened. And the last game, when it happened, we met at the stadium there. The minister, all of us. We sat there and we discussed to say, this is the time we want the flight to come. Again, I was tasked to write. So it's not like I get up and go and say, flight, travel company, come here. The minister and them were there. They can attest to this. I wrote to them. In fact, the initial time they told me, when I emailed that, they came back and said, no, we should change the time so we can come here around 11 so we can have a befitting welcome. I went again and I sent those people an email. We have a contract with them. They said within the stipulated time, they're going to provide the flight. When they email me, whatever they provide, that is copied to every member of the logistics committee. That is the message I pass on to the NCC. Yeah. So how was I misleading anybody? It is the info. I have a contract with you. So for instance, you have a contract with someone to provide you cameras and you tell your cameraman they're coming on Friday. That's what the man tells you. Yeah. He promises you Friday, you see the email, you forward it to them. It doesn't come Friday. Is it right for them to say you're the one that mislead? No. Is the information those people were giving to me, that is what I was sharing. They even emailed me at some point, copies of which I have, to say, make sure you get to the airport so and so and so time. And that was the message I was giving to the people.
So in essence, it was the fault of the carrier.
Yes.
The people that you contracted.
Yeah, it's the carrier and the carrier, in fact, they've written to the NCC to say they're willing to compensate the NCC. I'm not sure whether I have the right to disclose. I wouldn't disclose that. But Justice Kerr was there. He was always with us. Yeah. And he knew they defaulted and they accepted liability and said they would do this. Okay. So
that is very clear. I think it's important that, apart from even the GFF, but it's important that the football fans understand this, because it deprived a lot of us welcoming the players the way we wanted to do it. But it was good that you explained this properly.
I did a lot of organizations in Cameroon. The welcoming that you saw in Cameroon, I did that. Okay. I was able to talk to a lot of Gambians there to organize something. So if I can arrange something like that in Cameroon, why wouldn't I want something big too? I mean, who wouldn't want that?
I mean, especially this was one of, I mean, I remember one of the campaign promises, you guys had was to take Gambia to AFCON. And it was something that, that you guys delivered, even though none of us believed we would even reach that stage, but we got there. And I tell people, football is not just about the players in the pitch. Yeah. It is all the logistics and the things that happen behind. Yeah. So that was something that we will not take. But like all of these things, like I see a lot of people on social media and they say, Kaba at Kamaso 6 and 9 line. Because, all of these things, 8 years with Team Kaba, all of these campaign messages you guys did together, all of these successful and the non-successful things you did together. Today, we cannot talk about the success of AFCON without talking about you, the role you play. Now, why should the stakeholders vote for Kamaso against Kaba? Why? What distinctive difference are you going to bring to Football House that has not been there in the past 8 years?
Good. People say 6 and 9 line. I don't know who's the 6 and who's the 9.
I don't know who the 6 and who is the 9, but I see that
6 and 9 can never be the same.
I see they everywhere. Which one do you prefer, 6 or 9?
I don't know. They are the ones saying I prefer to be Sadibou Kamaso, leader of Team Restore Confidence, because 6 and 9 they are not tuki. Duñ musa neka ben. 6 la, 9 la.
6 9 la. Why? Si number si ban mo again 6 and 9 ban mo si 9 moy forward bi den da.
No, but 6 is they play a
decent role, right?
They all have their roles. So.
Okay.
But I said this the other day during the debate.
Yeah.
Somebody that I have immense respect for, Honorable Halifa Sallah. Somebody that I follow, I follow, how he talks and the kind of, arguments he brings forward.
Yeah.
He's been in the National Assembly since 2002.
Yes.
When Yaya Jammeh was there. There were so many laws that were enacted during that time, and some people feel those laws were bad.
Yes.
True or false? Yes.
True.
Did they say
even the last
fine?
Yeah.
Did they say?
But he always made his positions known.
Same thing with me. I was making my positions known. It's because we are not.
It was not known to us.
Because it's in the executive.
It was never known to us.
Yeah, because it's
Halifa
in the executive.
Was always making his positions known.
At the National Assembly.
Yes.
The same thing. At the executive, they'll tell you. I just told you here, I'm one person who speaks my mind.
Yes.
I make my positions known because the people in the executive will tell you that I speak my mind. I'm not the type who waits until after a meeting and talk about something. And as I said, this is democracy. The reason why people should vote for me is because we have better ideas. As I said, if incumbent has good ideas as I had, he would have come to the debate and present his ideas. It's public office. We owe the public that duty of care. We owe them, that, how do I call it? I don't know what the right word, but we owe them that liability in the sense that we should be able to stand in front of them and say, this is what we have. I was pushed to go for a debate in 2018 with Issa Jallow.
Okay.
Somebody I still have immense respect for.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to the debate and it was a heated debate. And like people say, he still doesn't forgive me for that because I went to defend Kaba. Because that's what I believe in. We have innovative ideas. We want to make sure grassroots football changes and changes for better. In our mission, we said we want to stimulate interest and passion, which you've already attributed to. We've done that. We've been able to stimulate so much interest and passion.
Football will never be the same in Gambia.
Exactly.
Football administration.
We've set the bar. Anybody who wants to, contest for GFF presidency will have to go through all of this now.
Yeah.
Present your manifesto to the people. Come and tell the people what you have. And we've put all the points in our manifesto on video so people can hold us accountable. Women's football is going to be developed. For the first time in the history of the Gambia, we're bringing in a second vice president, something that is in the constitution.
Okay.
We are increasing the league prize money. We are going to be as transparent, as accountable as possible.
Yeah.
Because we've set this. And that is why we are focusing on 4 key areas, that is the rebranding and remodeling of the GFF institution. Because the substantial erosion of confidence in the GFF is what has gotten us here. We cannot even get sponsors. We cannot raise anything on our own unless government comes into our aid or something of that sort. But the GFF has different products that we can market, that people can buy from. The other night after the debate, somebody called me anonymously and spoke to one of my vice presidents, said they wanted to talk to me. They said after the debate, we can go and meet them. The person said, having listened to what I said, and if the promises I made to be as transparent as that are going to be kept, he has promised to sponsor the awards night for 5 years. So you see, people want to see that you are putting monies where they are meant to be. We are telling them this is how we spend the monies. We want to be as transparent as possible. So we are going to change that. We are going to ensure our league becomes professional, where players can start earning minimum wages. They can start seeing this as something they can call a career, not go and train, then go and do bricklaying or go and do something else, because this is football. You know, he who loves whatever must do more than just talk about it.
I want to come in here, and I see both campaigns running away from that. The football is not just GFF. Government has a role to play in football. I mean, I remember when we went to play in Senegal, I was doing live videos, and a lot of fans were saying, I'm so mad with GFF, I'm so mad with football, Gambian football, why do we have to play in Senegal? But you and I know that it's not the GFF's role to build a stadium. It is the national...
I disagree.
No, it is not.
No, I disagree.
No,
There are other federations. If you maybe do research, maybe you should do research. Like Cape Verde, for instance. Yeah, government should do their stadium.
The football, I know.
But FIFA
pitches,
provides funds for you.
I know for pitches, like local pitches, GFF gets funding, should be able to get funding from FIFA.
Uganda, Football Federation of Uganda is building a stadium that they acquired land from the Catholic diocese.
But how many countries are doing that? It is
the countries that don't have the infrastructure. That is why FIFA came with the forward.
Is it not that? Let's establish what it is. What it is that the national stadium is the government property.
Yes,
it's government property, and it is the government that should put it to standard.
Yes,
because that is the only property infrastructure that we have. Football, the main infrastructure where we should be able to play international matches. Now that fault, is it the GFF or the national or the government?
I put the fault on GFF.
Okay, why?
Personally, fine. When you talk about standards, government does not know what standards CAF is looking for.
Okay.
Government has no idea what standards FIFA is looking for.
True.
Government, FIFA,
do you want to
and
say
CAF,
the minister wouldn't know?
They are not affair with CAF issues. They don't know.
The Minister of Sports should know.
No, it is the GFF who's been tasked to do that. They have delegated authority to do that.
Okay.
They are the ones who should take this to the ministry to say, listen, if we do not meet the criteria before this time, we cannot play here. Now that they've told government, is government not doing the needful to put in the funds?
Yeah.
If they had done this earlier...
It's because it's coming from all of us, the people.
No, even from government already spent over 100 million when before... Well, that was the reason why we were able... Part of the reasons why we were able to qualify for AFCON.
Okay.
Because they started chartering flights. If you sit with government and put them in the picture, tell them what is happening, give them prior notice, you get what you get. And as I said, it is government responsibility to create infrastructure, sports infrastructure here.
Yes.
But again, FIFA provides you money to be able to do that. Other countries are doing it. FIFA knows some of these African governments may not be financially buoyant to do these things. So they have funding for you to be able to take these things up. It doesn't have to be a 30,000 stadium capacity. You could even have a 15. The stadium we went to in Chess is not that big as ours.
Yeah.
And it could still, at that time...
I was like, why are we here? I think our stadium is better than
so
this.
So couldn't we build something from the funds that are available to FIFA? I mean, if we had started something and we were transparent as much as we were, maybe government would have come in.
So
we should have engaged government.
Question here
is there any proof that we had approached government in the beginning and they said, no, we are not doing it?
I don't know, because I'm not GFA. But what I'm saying is FIFA monies that come in. My little knowledge about projects, right? For example, if I go to UN House and say I want to do a project on women development and they give me funding for that, that money cannot be diverted to something else.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's how it is done with FIFA as well.
Yes.
Do we have a specific money that had come in as for money for building a stadium, football infrastructure, like a mini stadium or something?
No, the way it is, I'm not the project manager. The first vice president is the project manager.
Okay.
The $2 million is available there for you.
Okay.
With FIFA, you apply, you write to them and ask them and tell them how you want to spend this money.
Spend the money.
Whether it's one stadium or it's 10 mini stadium or it's vehicles or whatever, the money is there available to you. And most of the projects that we had started were actually started before some of us were even aware. But as I'm saying, there's somebody responsible for infrastructure. The second vice president is responsible for infrastructure. He's also the general manager of the stadium.
Okay.
So I mean that is how it works. And there's a projects manager. So these funds, government should do what they have to do. But they will tell you, government cannot interfere into GFF of any kind. But you're expecting them to do that. My argument is, CAF communicated to GFF to say, if your stadium does not meet this minimum standard at this period of time, you cannot play matches there. Now Hawks has won the league.
Yeah.
They're supposed to play CAF Interclub Championship. They're under the GFF. It is the GFF who should ensure that everything about this Hawks match is okay. Government can supervise, because they don't have direct hands into it. We could have been in a position to build a stadium. That is what I'm saying here. If Cape Verde, some 2-3 weeks ago, was able to inaugurate a new stadium from FIFA forward funds, Uganda is building one, Mauritania has done it, Liberia was banned almost the same time as us, and now Sierra Leone is using the Liberian stadium, and they're using FIFA forward funds. So we should be able to, whether it is a 10,000, FIFA, that is why they don't give you funds. They give you funds. We are not asking GFF to take the funds and put it somewhere else. Let us put it in a project. You put it in a project. We went to some of these regions and asked them to give us their title deeds so we can build them land. We've been talking about a land that is in Brikama. Bulundala gave us land, blah, blah, blah. This has been there for a long time, and nothing has been done, and that land has been encroached. That from what the president keeps saying in the meetings. And this was a land that we said it was offered to the GFF to build a stadium a long time ago, and nothing was done. So you want to shift the blame on government to say it is government. Yes, government is responsible for everybody, but they have a budget and they have budgets for everything. But now that they know government has been put in the picture that we cannot play, that is why government has taken this up. So maybe if we had involved government a long time ago, they would have done it. Maybe the same way they have started funding the national team by chartering a flight, that 100 million that they spent on that, they could have done something. So I don't think it is right to say.
So football business. Football business is expensive. That we all know. Chartering a flight alone, spending 100 million. I would have said. I would have said, let's give it.
No, that was throughout the whole campaign.
That's what I'm saying. But I would have said, let's give that to the farmers, right? I would, or somebody would have said. But no, I'm saying football business is really expensive. I believe it's not just one person. But now, if you become president.
I want you to use when.
When you are elected, let's say only when you are elected, when you are elected president in August 27, do you want to promise us that your administration will build us a stadium? Can you promise that?
In the starting 11, we are coming in with promises that each region would have a standard playing pitch.
A pitch.
Because already government has embarked upon trying to get this stadium to the minimum CAF standards. So, we don't have to put our focus on that.
On that, okay.
We are promising a minimum of a standard playing pitch in every region, because GFF keeps telling you our league is decentralized, A team in URR called Ouagadougou has never played any of their league matches in Ouagadougou. Maybe at the 3rd division level, but they're in the 2nd division. So if you're telling me the league is decentralized, Ouagadougou being in, a team from URR would play their home matches in URR. That is what you call decentralization. The fact that the team comes from there is not decentralization. There's a team from CRR called Medical. They have not played any of their 2nd division league matches in CRR. If they were playing their league matches there, then you can tell me the league has decentralized. Our league has been amateur since 1952. So if you're telling me for the first time clubs from the regions, this was supposed to be done a long time ago, in fact. This should have been done a long time ago, because the way we are structured, the 3rd divisions are under the regional football associations, and they should deliver just like the 1st and 2nd divisions are doing, so that those teams that are there, when they qualify, they can come up. Then you have a relegation and promotion system. So those things are like feeding your child, and you're saying, oh, in fact, you're privileged to be fed. A mother feeding your child is your duty. It's your moral duty to feed your child. So feeding your child doesn't mean you telling people, oh, in fact, for the first time now, I'm breastfeeding my child. No, you're supposed to do that. I don't know if my example is making sense. So for me, we are promising pitches that are playable. Because what caused some of these problems is when you're supposed to walk on a pitch, there should be a systematic approach to it. You walk on the pitches first. Then you can do dressing rooms, you can do pavilions and other things. But the pitch is bad, you go and start demolishing pavilions. So people cannot use the pitch. They cannot use the pavilions, they cannot use the dressing rooms, they cannot use the toilets. And that is why we're promising the pitches and the toilets, because that way they are playing somewhere, at least they have a playable surface that they can play. Then you build it in stages. So even the people who you can attract for sponsors, when they see that you started something, they'll have interest in it. But you go, now there are no playable pitches, apart from the stadium, and the goal project, which is not even a stadium, that is a training center. The way it is, even if you look at it, the walls are so close to the pitch itself, somebody could fall off and break their skull. So our promise is every region will have a standard playable pitch, and subsequently we can work on having a stadium. because you start somewhere and then you move on. We don't want to be over ambitious and promise things we cannot deliver.
Yeah.
I'm more of a businessman than a politician. And in business, when we promise, we want to keep it because we want to get more business.
I mean, I was going to say that because I am thinking Team Restore Confidence, you know, you bring in so much ambition, you're bringing so much confidence, you're bringing so much ideas into the game. But I listened to your interview one time, you said, see, football is, it's how do you say, it's stages.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't come like, how long would it even take to build one pitch, to grow the Bahamas and do all of that? Now, what is the timeline of all of these things?
No, within the first term, that is a promise.
Within every region, first 4 years?
Yes, every region will have a playable pitch.
Okay.
Yeah, and the good thing is,
the funds will be available from FIFA.
Now FIFA has even increased the forward. They are making $8 million available to every member association. And these are things we should make public so people know.
Yeah.
The 4 million is available to you for 4 years, 1 million every year, 500,000 in January, 500,000 in July for operational cost, salaries and other things that you can do. And the other 4 million will now be available for projects.
Yeah.
So there'll be a careful and systematic approach to this. Get the right people, not just 1 or 2 people just go and award a contractor and then there's a contractor signed and you do not know how these things work. Good thing was, sometime in 2020, I remember the president came to my office. He was seated right in front of my desk. He expressed concern about these projects. And I said, if you ask me, I think we should create a projects committee and a procurement committee. And luckily, he appointed me procurement committee chairman.
I was going to say that, Sadibou. I mean, before coming, I see the teams, the team Kaba list down all the portfolios you held in GFF. You were a member of the finance,
yes,
procurement, and all the other logistics, all the other luxurious.
By virtue of what I can do.
By virtue of what you can do. It seems like, you know, you were one person that
I give my all. That's
the
when I
GFF relied on a lot of things. Your expertise brought you into all of these committees because, I mean, that's the fact.
And even in meetings, I make my position known.
So now, if you are part of all of these committees, you are part of procurement. I mean, what I know from as a procurement, I worked in Gamtela and I know how it is done when you're in procurement committees. Now, would you want to say that all of these projects that were allocated and then they're having issues, you should take blame part of it?
No, the procurement came in at a time. Okay, go on.
Because you were part of all of these committees, finance, procurement, logistics. I don't know, there were so many lists of groups that you were part of. So what would that say though? Is either you were there and you were not taking notice of things and you still continue to be there, or you were there just for the beauty of it, but
Brilliant
you
question.
were not doing anything specifically to stop all of these things you're complaining about.
Brilliant question. I was member of Player Status Committee.
Yes.
Player Status Committee never met all throughout the 4 years. We only got documents sent to us once about issue of ownership of a club. That was Secondary East. They sent it to all members of the committee. I was the last to get it. I was out of town, and when I got back, I saw it. It was an issue of ownership between Joe Kalamba and Mali Kamara. And I looked at it. I said, listen, guys, this is not an issue of, maybe because of my legal background, you know, my modicum legal background. I said, this is not an issue of player status. Player status is for us to determine whether a player should play here or not. This is an issue about ownership. It should be sent to the legal committee. Those are the kind of contributions I would make. That was the only time something came at the Player Status Committee.
Okay.
And as I said, I am not the chairman. I am not the one to go and say, let us do this. Because as committees, we are advisory arms of the executive.
Executive, yes.
Finance Committee, what we do, we sit 3 or 4 times a year. We sit 4 times a year to say, this is how we want the budget, this is how we want to do. And in fact, I can proudly say, I was the one that even pushed for the league prize money to be increased to 750 in the meeting. I said, let us increase to 1.5.
Did you ever raise the questions of making sure these pitches were...
Oh, yes. Ask the first vice president.
These are allocations. When you're in the finance committee, you're making allocations for the budget.
I have raised this so many times. In fact, there was one consultant, they will even say, Sadibou Kamaso, because I mean, as I said, I don't keep these things. I mention them. I was one person that would raise these issues. And as I said, I was one person that said, if we give somebody money, you don't deliver, let us take action. Let us take legal action. But, I mean, we just recommend. We don't implement. The committees are advisory arms of the federation, of the executive.
Yeah.
They recommend and the executive approves or otherwise. So as a finance committee member, I was there one time when a particular staff applied for clothing allowance and other allowances that were not due to him. He was out of town. He was sponsored by another institution. And as per the GFF staff service rules, when you are sponsored by another institution, we are not responsible. that came there, the first vice president, who's the chair, said he would recuse himself because he had an issue with the particular individual. When they brought it, I said, I think you should send this back to the president. Because in the first place, when actions were taken in the beginning, we were not informed to give our opinion on it. So now that we have an issue, it is being brought to us to make us look bad. I think it should be sent. And what he said was, no, Sadibou, you can't send things back to the president like that. I said, I'm not sending back to, I'm just saying, if the president can take decisions in the beginning without asking us for a recommendation, at a point now where we will be seen to look bad, he said, okay, he came back and, he sat over it. And my position again was, this is not applicable. We cannot take this. That is, I have no issues with the individual. But what is not right, that is not right. And I said, I want to be on record to say this is what I have said. Democracy is the minds of the majority.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I would do. For instance, there were all vehicles that were there that were sold. And I said, let us ensure whoever owes us pays us. I want to be on record for saying this. League matches. I'm one person who says, let us charge. We cannot spend this on tickets. That is what I do. As a committee member, that is what you're expected to do. And then at the end of the day, the resolutions of the meeting is what we take to the executive. It is up to the executive to approve or otherwise. I have seen a situation where somebody was taken to a commission, General Secretary, for instance, when he had that recording incident. And the approval, the recommendations from the commission was the particular individual who recorded him should be stopped from coming to the secretariat. We sat at the executive where decisions that are made should go into effect immediately. That particular individual came to the secretariat. The General Secretary is probably watching and he can attest to this fact. That particular individual, and in that meeting I said, moving forward, I don't think anybody should go into our president's office and the General Secretary with a phone. If the ministers and all those people are doing it because you don't know what they're recording. What happened, but now that we've taken the person to a commission, we go by the recommendations of the commission. We agreed that is what is going to be done. But that particular individual came to a program. He came and the security told him, no, there's instruction that you cannot come. He was ranting there, you don't know me. I have links to the president. The president, when the General Secretary came, the president called him and said, let them deny it, and said, are you the one who stopped individual A? He said, yes. It was based on the minutes that I received. Because he was asked to recuse us that time. He said, yeah, the decision was taken, but you have to wait for me to. But decisions that are taken in the executive
should not
take effect immediately.
Yes.
So things like that. Again, it was in front of everybody. I cannot jump and say, no, Mr. President, you are wrong. I follow protocol. I studied international relations. I follow protocol. I don't go beyond my boundaries. I know where I'm supposed to stop. And the finance committee, as I said, I served there. Procurement committee, we sat over the appointment of the consultants. And they will tell you, I called the procurement officer to go to GAMWorks and make findings as to how these things are done, because we had no idea as to how to deal with consultants. We made our findings, and that was what we used to do the invitation for bids. When they came, what we do, we ask for bids and they should be sent through the General Secretary. And when they come, we open them in front of everybody. We invite those people and negotiate. There was one consultant that I negotiated. We were able to save the Federation 2 million. After that, the committee, that is my committee, the committee that I chair, we hand over our minutes to the Project and Contracts Committee. We recommend that we want Fatou to be the one providing media coverage. It is the Project and Contracts Committee that the President chairs. The first Vice President sits there, the second Vice President sits there, the third Vice President, the General Secretary and other members sit there. They are the ones who actually sign the contract. So you can see, I don't even sign the contracts.
That you make recommendations?
We make recommendations.
Okay.
So they are at liberty to choose it or otherwise. That was one of the recommendations we made. And those contractors, the consultants, were actually taken. They came back to us and said we should appoint the contractors. I said no. The idea was to get the consultants. These are the people who understand construction. Now we've appointed them. Let them guide the Project and Contracts Committee to select the contractors. And that is where we stopped. The other one we did was the procurement of tickets to charter flights. We made the recommendations. Eventually, that was not even taken because ministry took it over and they were going to do their own procurement. The other procurement I handled was the procurement of materials, equipment for the women's football teams. And that one, the procurement committee was extended by the president. We had to invite the women football committee members. In fact, when we were doing the selection, I invited independent persons to come and look at the materials that were provided. And the recommendations we left there was, any sample that was provided should not be given back to the supplier until they deliver. When they deliver, you give them. If they conform to what they've provided, then you can give them. But they don't deliver to me. You know procurement.
Yeah.
The person who procures doesn't receive.
No.
It goes to the
It
stores.
goes to stores.
So I just make the recommendation. They should go by what's in the minutes.
Yeah.
So those procurements, none went wrong. We handled the procurement for the Banjul and Brikama. And what we did was, we made findings as to what requirements are needed. And if you look at the advertisement, we said FIFA Quality Plus Pro. People who have the newspapers can go and dig deep and they will find it. That was what we advertised. Those people came with samples and catalogs.
Is that what was delivered?
They didn't deliver to me.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know. That's what I'm saying. They didn't deliver to me and nobody even told me that those materials were here. We made the recommendations and said we recommended this supplier and this supplier based on what they have provided.
Yeah.
So they should, if whoever's there, should follow the minutes and see what has been done.
And make sure that was delivered.
When I wanted to vie for the position, they started bringing those things to say. I said, these things I'm told were delivered a long time ago. Nobody even told me these things were here.
But it seems like generally what you're talking about, it seems like the processes were always transparent. There was always committees that were looking at these things that were happening in Football House.
It depends what you call transparent, because there's compliance.
There was compliance.
And yes, there is compliance, and
Yeah.
a lot of times there are certain things that go, past these things.
Okay.
As I said, the procurement committee came in sometime in 2020.
Okay.
It came sometime in 2020 until 2021
21.
when I was removed. But even at procurement committee, there are things that were purchased when we were buying the buses, when we were buying the GFF vehicles. That didn't come under procurement. It was the project manager who just handled those programs. When we were doing the projects for the lights, that cost us all, over 5 million, the lasses, and the lights are 1,000 lux short because, the wrong specifications was given. It should have been 1,200 lux, and the lux that the supplier provided was 200 lux, and that's what he said. That's what was given to him. So, those ones were not under the radar of the procurement committee. So these committees that you're talking about, having served there, I made sure I deliver. And as I said, I'm the only person in fact who does that. I tell the president, I think, we don't have money. Why don't you save us money and not travel? So those are the things I would do. I'll sit there and I was told that people were being paid allowances when they had not traveled. I brought it to their attention to say this would not pass FIFA ethics. Because if you have not traveled, what allowance are you being paid for? If you want to stay, it is your choice to stay. Yeah. And you're serving football.
But if you're traveling, that's when you get paid.
Yes. So those are issues I will raise. Recently, they wanted to pay. They had resolved in a meeting that I had not attended. I was in Dakar with my mom, and they had sat and resolved that they are going to pay $2,000 to each executive member from the CAF preparatory monies. They thought because I had launched my candidature, I was not going to come to meetings again. But as I said, I have no skeletons in my closet. I walk in anywhere.
Yeah.
I went to that meeting and some people were even surprised. And the fact that they saw me, the president said, oh, gentlemen, I don't think it is right for us to touch this money now, because you saw some of the correspondence. Because I was the one that was raising issues about the $250 that was paid to people who had not traveled to AFCON. If you choose to stay home, stay home. If you choose to go to AFCON, you go to AFCON, you get the allowance. I was there, I left my business here for over a month. So the allowance I got, I appreciate it from the government, but that cannot cover for it, but that is the sacrifice you have to put in football.
To pay for football.
Yeah.
Now, Sadibou, brilliant ideas, the zeal, the energy that you're bringing, and I have said this, it's not going to be business as usual, whoever gets elected in the next 4 years, because the Gambian people will want to have a stake in what is happening at Football House, because that is what your campaign has brought.
Well, I think history will remember Team Restore Confidence.
We'll remember you for that, definitely. But then, now, what is your standing among the stakeholders? Now, it's only 77 people who are going to vote out of 2 million people, out of 2 million football lovers. Now, what is your standing among those stakeholders? Are you confident, we will say, President Sadibou?
You see, I'm grinning from ear to ear.
I see you smiling. I see, it seems like, but how confident are you?
You just look at my body language and you tell me. You're an experienced journalist. You can tell that I'm very confident. As I said, the vision is to establish a preeminent standard in Gambian football, place the Gambian football governing body on a financial, infrastructural, self-sustenance. And that is why we came with this mission. We are very positive about the votes that we are going to get on the 27th of August. because you have 77 delegates who are voting on behalf of the whole country.
Whole country, yeah.
The way I see GFF, I keep saying it's just like how the National Assembly is.
Yes.
You have 53 National Assembly members.
They represent millions of
They
us.
represent millions, but they come from the different. They voted for, or they vote for or against the constitution or whatever. So it's the same.
Yes.
You know, it's just the same. It's a similar structure. So these people are like National Assembly members today for football. The fate of Gambians in terms of football development is in their hands. And we are positive because we've spoken to all of them. Although we are aware of some of the intimidating tactics some of them are doing, or some of the coercion, or people being promised jobs, you know, to get votes. And I keep telling them.
But that's politics though.
Yeah, but
that's politics.
FIFA ethics is, again, that is against FIFA ethics.
But even in FIFA, you know, I mean, I look at what happened at the CAF meeting. CAF already giving all of their votes to.
No, but the reason why they're doing that is what Infantino brought. No one has brought that. But fine, it's politics.
It's politics.
They can do that. But if they really meant it,
yeah,
they had the chance to do it in 2014.
Yes.
They did not. They had
you
the chance
had the
to
chance,
do it.
both of you.
They had no. I was.
That's
I was not the policy driver. I was not the one.
No, I'm just,
I know.
Yeah.
I was not the one driving the policy.
Okay.
No matter what I say today, when I was in the GFF, if the president says no, it is a no.
It's a no.
Even in the constitution, they say if we have a casting vote, if we have a tie, the president has a casting vote. When we travel, he's the one who selects who goes. He has that power.
He has those powers, yes.
So I don't, in as much as I am there, I'm not the one who drives the policy. It's the head of the institution who drives the policy.
Now,
he takes responsibility.
Everything he's promising today, he could have done 4 years ago.
You have somebody who's promised you lunch and dinner did not provide. And you have somebody who's brought you new ideas, who's transformed the whole political dynamic. You know, who's brought in new ideas. Now he has stimulated so much interest and passion. That's what we wanted, for people to come and watch games, people to have an interest. The last time I was telling someone, I was like, please don't swell my head. You know, I just parked to buy fuel and the guy was like, hey, this is our president. I need a selfie. I'm like, man, never in my life have I had this. You know?
You're like the new kid in the block now.
The other time we were crossing the ferry and they were like, no, president, you know. I was like, I'm on my day, you struggle to do a ferry. Now, you know, I was like, sometimes this is the reason why some people don't want to leave office.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm from a very modest family. Those things don't get into my head. I hustled my way to get to where I am, thanks to God and, you know, my parents' blessings. But we've changed things and we will ensure things change, irrespective of the outcome, because we know we are going to win, because we know we are moving football forward. And there's somebody who was here who hasn't delivered on the promises. And when we say deliver, you do an exam. If somebody scores 30%, they failed. If somebody scores 50 and above, that's a pass.
And you say they score less than 10%?
Like 15% lane pass.
15%.
15%. We won AFCON qualifications. We've gone to World Cup.
Sadibou, you must know them fen.
But lolu started
legi ñu dem AFCON lolu nak Sadibou lolu rek 50%.
Ah kay mus nañu dem fen di dem nañ fi World Cup di.
No, lolu
U20.
No, under 20 lañ
under 20 ñom ñi ngay bako lolu non di. For the first time we've won the Wafu U20.
I mean, we ngi bako lolu. Jigéen yi tam win nañ xawma lan.
Azerbaijan dem nañ
jigéen yi win nañ.
Jigéen dem nañ fi Azerbaijan during Sidi Kinte. Women's football time bobu la gëna dem nañ fi Azerbaijan dem nañ World Cup.
Waaye léegi nii jigéen yi lan lañ win yaagut ba pare ñu ngi dem AFCON.
Lan la jigéen yi win?
Jigéen yi am na luñ win dama leen gis.
Non loolu suma vice président bi moo win Red Scorpions moo win.
Waaw Red Scorpions waaye ba tey jigéen yi la.
Kooku life am yëpp si football la ko def.
Waaw ba pare ñu ngi nii AFCON ñu ngi win AFCON. ñu ngi
non
ñu ngi wax suñu naka.
Wal sa gars yi daal non du ma jël crédit bi to be honest.
No, yes.
The GFF did well.
Yes.
Understand nga?
Did
well.
Yes.
You know, the GFF, so a GFF, then everybody who was there at the time, not just the executive.
All of you.
Even the staff, the ministry, because they came in and pumped in money.
Yes.
That was the time when ministry started traveling with us. I remember on all the 2 trips that I went to Angola as head of delegation, the minister was there with us.
Yes.
That moral support. Before, then that struggle pull known because the GFF and the minister had a very frosty relationship.
Yes.
You understand nga?
At some point, people were even scared that FIFA was going to ban because people thought government was going to get involved.
Oh yes.
Especially in last
so
election.
If ministry comes in and they're putting that resources, in fact, then you don't want to bill big out, so we can push it further. Budget. So that shows you the interest that government has put in this now. The president inviting us, you know, and all of that, you know, having accepted to do a dinner at the State House at the eve of the player's departure to Cameroon.
To raise funds
it shows you the commitment, the president coming out.
Yeah.
He's the patron and he was the first person to have given $20,000. So that shows you the commitment the government wants to put in it. But keep them informed. If you don't keep them informed, you cannot sit here and say government's commitment to this is lacking. No, if government can, work out a whole 90 million, government gave 90 million the last season.
Yeah.
And then an extra 25 million afterwards, 25 or 30 million. I was not in the finance committee. I think it's about 25, 30 million to ensure we are comfortable there. That shows you the commitment. So if they can put 90 million in the AFCON, don't you think if you had given them the notice that the stadium should have been ready by now, they would have plowed that 90 million in there? Obviously, if they can put in 90 million to take you to AFCON, they would be happy to see the team play here. But the federation had continuously, separated the national team from the Gambian public. Even before we left for AFCON, I argued at the NCC that let us have our training camp here. Even if we were going to play 2 matches here, just for fans to come and see, maybe we could have even raised funds and say $50 is to enter. But they took the team to Qatar, and people tested positive. People were testing positive for COVID like wildfire. You disconnected the team from the fans, and people are still dying to go and see these players play. I don't know some of the players who were telling us they really wanted to play in front of the fans, even if it is training.
Yeah.
They love their country. It is the responsibility of the federation to do that. So this is not, if government asks the Gambia Ports Authority to ensure the port is done this way and that way, and ports doesn't deliver, you cannot say government failed. They have delegated authority to the Gambia Ports Authority, just like GFF has been given delegated authority. It is the GFF's failure.
It is GFF's failure.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Sadibou. Final message to the stakeholders.
27 August is around the corner. Team Restore Confidence has come to tell the stakeholders we wanted to stimulate interest and passion. The fate of 2.5 million people is in the hands of 77 voters.
Yeah.
We ask you that justice guide your actions on the 27th. We want to transform our football and transform it for the better. And that is why we're not shy to go to any media. We're not shy to explain our ideas, to share our ideas so people understand. That is why we're bringing transformation. We're bringing transparency to this football. We want you to give us your votes because there's somebody who's already in power, who's been here for 8 years, has promised you a number of things and has delivered very little. And here you have another candidate who's changed the whole game, wanting to bring you something that can move our football. We're talking about AFCON. Our football is beyond AFCON. You look at the thousands of kids that are here that play in these academies. They need to transition themselves to get to that level. We are going to focus on a bottom-up approach to make sure our football develops and develops for better. Gambian football shouldn't suffer the way it has suffered for the past years. So give us your vote on the 27th of August, and together we can make that change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sadibou. It was great talking to you, and I hope only I did not mess up. She kept calling me the whole morning. Suma candidate bangi ñëw de bu wa bu ñu tesante bu ñu tese manako you know man duma de tesante, but I'm sure she will love this conversation. It's good that we talk to people who are seeking for public office to talk to the people directly. It's important that people know the ideas, and I'm happy that you came to talk about these ideas. This is what the Gambian people want to hear. We don't want to hear all the other negative things, but we want to hear what you have on the table. And we wish you all the best.
Thank you. Even though I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump, but the only thing I like about him is anytime you want an interview, he grants it. And that is me. Even in my sleep, you want an interview, I'll grant it. I let my media team know that I'm taking an interview because I believe the more we sit on information, the more we invite suspicion.
Yeah.
And the more we talk to the media, the more we are open, the more they understand what we do. And some of the people are saying, Sadibou, we hope you wouldn't go into office and not be available to the media. I said, I've always been available to the media.
We will come after you. We will come after you. If that ever happens, we will come after you.
We are going to need the media to sell our ideas, so definitely we're going to come.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sadibou. And we will have the members of the Restore team on the brunch this Saturday, because last week we had Team Kaba, so we will have members of Team Restore on Saturday, eve of the...
I'm just happy the way people have taken this Team Restore confidence.
Team Restore, and I keep asking Oli, what confidence are you restoring?
You know, you're hungry.
I don't know. I don't know. But definitely we are happy to have you and members of your team on the platform. Thank you very much, and we wish you all the best. To you watching, good night to you all. See you next week. Bye-bye.
better and stronger as the sole ground operator at the Banjul International Airport. With an expansion in travel services, customers are assured of GIA's capacity to cater for all their travel needs, provided by professional, experienced, and ever-smiling staff. GIA's Hajj package and services, by far the best in the country, give the customers the opportunity for a memorable Hajj experience. For a more efficient cargo services, GIA means business as it launches its new multi-million-dollar ultra-modern cargo complex to revitalize and stimulate air transport. GIA, the pride of the Gambia.
Every day is a new opportunity to make sure our first impressions are always our best and to see possibilities on the horizon. To make our facilities and services more accessible and find freedom all around us. With a location proximity to active markets with a liberal air transportation policy. That daily pursuit is how we turn everyday opportunities for you. For all destination marketing support, customized packages for new existing airlines and operators, and for a highly ranked tourist destination, the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority is here to serve. We regulate air transport, operate and manage BIA technical requirements merged with commercial considerations. We have experienced and well-trained aviation professionals to cater for your needs. For investment opportunities in building airport hotels, shopping malls, playground for children, do contact us on 4472-831, 4472-893. Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. We go beyond daily.